Okay, so some of you might be wondering, and I was going to bring this up, but I figured I'd wait to this video. Why is this frame of the door sticking out like that? Here and here. Well, let's go in here and click on this. And if we pull down, notice it asks if we have a masonry frame or not. Watch what happens when I uncheck that. When I uncheck that, there, now that door has a wraparound frame like we want. Same over here. If I click on this, it'll ask me, so it's assuming that you have a masonry frame at first, but when we don't, we just put our actual door frame in here that wraps around. When we go look at that elevation, we can see that looks a little different than the other one. See what happens? Watch the way this looks if I change it back to masonry frame. See how it gets bigger? We want it to be here, and now we can align to the top of that window. All right, and so now that that's in there, what we can do is go back to our second floor, and we can say, all right, we need this to be off there, 2'6", and now we have plenty enough room for the carpenter to frame this portion of the wall, right? So we can go in here and we can annotate and get a nice even dimension between so we can say, let's put maybe 5 feet in here. All right, so there's the door and the window and our elevation. That looks pretty decent. It's not bad. Okay, so going back to our second floor, now that we know we have this, all right, I'm going to slide this back a little, and I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to say copy, multiple, and I'm going to go from maybe this wall face to the next wall face and to the next wall face and to that final wall face right here. Okay, so now I've got that, and if I go back and look at my elevation again, now down that whole hallway I've got the doors and windows on those offices the way I want them, right? We'll go back again to the second floor, and I can say, hey, I wonder if I could go right down the middle of this thing and mirror these to the other side. Do you want to try it? I can click here, hold down Control, and click, click, all the way down my hallway. And let's see what would happen if I say, go ahead and mirror, pick axis. They're not quite falling where we need them to fall, right? So here's another trick we can use to do that. I like to do this. I like to draw a detail line, right, from the face of this wall here to the face of that wall. And then I can grab all of these. Normally I would select instances visible in view, but now I'm coming here, I can say mirror draw axis from this midpoint here, and now those should fall right along here just like that. And now if I click on this and I activate another elevation, all right, whoops, you know what, here, let's do this. In order to make that work right, watch what happens when I click that. See, that's my elevation. And so usually I'll use these interior elevations in one room, so that won't work pretty good. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to click the whole thing and uncheck that. Yeah, I'm going to delete that. I'd probably put another elevation, but what I can tell you is I could cut a section down here. I could cut a quick section and show you that this looks about the same as the other one, right? So there are all my doors and windows on my offices on that side. So I'm okay. I'll go ahead and get rid of that. I don't need that section. But so now we know our offices, that correspond to this floor. They've all got the spacing they need, and they're all the right kind of door. I've got my storage space. I've got my corridor. But I've got some other spaces over here too. Remember that we've also got our stair over here. We're going to have our mechanical room and our bathrooms. But we're going to have a little extra space out here. And take a look. Look at this kind of sawed off dead space down in here. We wouldn't leave that like that, people. That wouldn't make it wouldn't make sense at all. So what we can do, we can do a few different things in this instance. And what would happen in this particular instance here is this office would just get a little bigger. We would never waste that space like that right there. And you know, it's no fun to have your office right up against the wall here, right up against the shaft wall. But the reality is that there's going to be some good um, acoustical properties in the shaft wall that's going to allow them not to hear it. And what we do is we put acoustical panels in here too, so we'd be okay. So what we would do, I would just grab this and create similar right along here. Now, unfortunately, we've got that uneven kind of looking, we've got that unevenness there, right? So what I would probably do in this instance is I would create a wall, right? And I would bring it out ever so slightly. And it would be really challenging here to get this to work the way we want to work. But here's the deal. What I would do is say, if I pull this out, watch what's going to happen here. You see how that flips on that side? And we would really want it to go that direction, but we also wouldn't necessarily want it to touch our shaft wall. That wouldn't be ideal, but that's, you know, because that looks kind of weird, right? And we don't want to necessarily make the office smaller. So if we go back, okay, what we would end up doing is just doing this. All right. The other thing that we would probably end up doing is adjusting our elevator shaft so that it just got a little bit smaller so that it was even with that. Could we do that? Let's see if we could do that too, because that's an odd situation right there, a really odd situation. So what if I did this? What if I said align to here, right there? And so our elevator space just got a little bigger. And so now I can delete that. And this is what you would want. You would always want the cleanest kind of approach to this. And what I could say was right click, remember this, disallow join. And now I can pull it up. Whoops. I could pull it up to that wall, right? And when I got close enough, maybe I could align it to it. There we go. So now that's nice and clean. And unfortunately, our column line would be a little bit off, but it's really okay in this instance. It's not a big deal. And now our corridor line is going to be even with our elevator shaft, which is what we want. We don't want those unsightly little tiny jogs in there, because you have to think, what would it be like to build this? That's the key. How do we build this? That's what you always want to think about as architectural technologists, not just how something looks. Just because we can draw something in Revit doesn't mean that in the field it's easy to build that way, and that's what we want to keep in mind, okay? So that's where we're going to stop today. Go ahead and get caught up on this. Remember, you got your exam, so you may spend some time with that today. I'll be around in here till 10:30, and then starting at 10:40, I've got some meetings for scheduling. I don't know that there's anybody in this class that has to do scheduling for this fall, because most of you are graduating. Congratulations. But I will be available to help with that kind of stuff if you still got a semester or so left. All right, so I'll go ahead and stop this video and say have a good day and a good weekend, and we'll see you again on Tuesday.